go out in the field, they dig up the past, and they put it in a museum, and if you're lucky, you might go along and visit it and find it interesting. No. That is archaeologists, perhaps, on the surface. Really, what archaeologists do is not discover the past. Archaeologists, like many of us, in fact, like all of us, simply work on what remains of the past. We work on what remains of the past because the past makes us, in many ways, who we are, and the past, where we've been and where we think we've been, not necessarily actually where we've been, where we think we've been, orients us in terms of where we want to go in the future. I'm going to talk tonight about the World Wide Web. But let me first tell you what I'm interested in terms of the web, or webness. That is, I'm very, very interested, because archaeologists like stuff, they like things, they like remains of the past, that are kind of tangible. I'm very interested in this relationship between the tangible and the intangible, between what we frequently talk about today as the real and the virtual. Except I'm going to say that there is no such thing as the virtual. That in fact, as we are increasingly realizing, as we just heard, we have actually always lived amalgams, mixtures, hybrids of the real and the virtual, the tangible and the intangible. We've always lived mixed reality. Now, I'm also interested, because I'm an archaeologist, I'm a humanist in a university. I spend a lot of time on writing stuff about things, writing history, writing archaeology. I'm interested in rich content on the web. Too much of it, of the rich kind of traditional stuff, is shoveled, because that's shoveled onto the web. It's taken from another medium and stuck there on our web page. You don't read it. It's like Wikipedia is the version of the entire next way. The stuff is I'm interested in rich content in terms of something that I think we all cherish and aspire to, which is good storytelling. I think we want the web to appeal to us all in various different ways around, though, the notion of good story. We want good stories. We want stories that will inform, if you like, who we are, our identity. We've already heard that tonight. Okay, my little vignette. It's not really a story, it's a vignette tonight. And I'm not going to give you any pictures, I'm just going to tell you where I am. I'm on the beach. It's 8:30 in the morning. The beach is on a tidal island in the north of England, in the borders between England and Scotland. It's quite a flat island. It's low level. There's only one hill in front of me. I'll think about that in a moment. But what I'm actually looking at is a hull, a hulk. It's not a shipwreck, and that's what's puzzling me. Because this is a ship on the beach. The beach is actually a little bay. It's called the Ooze. And that's relevant to what I'm saying. The Ooze. The boat is intriguing me because it's kind of half wrecked. It's not wrecked. It's lying there at an angle because it's been beached by the tide. The boat, I recognize its design. It is late 19th century Norwegian. I recognize the design because behind me on the beach, this is the beach in the bay, behind me are a series of such Norwegian hulls, ships, boats, cut in half. They were cut in half to be turned into sheds, huts, to store fishermen's gear at the end of the 19th century when the fishing industry was failing and they switched from this kind of boat to smaller fishing boats called coals. I'm wondering why, and the year is 1994, why this boat on the beach is there, having appeared apparently out of history. Across the Ooze, as I say, it's a flat island. Across the Ooze, past the boat, is a hill. The hill is part of a geological feature that runs through England in the division between lowland and highland England. It's a basaltic feature, an intrusion through the limestone, known as the Windsill, black basalt. It stands proud of the island because the rock is harder than the surrounding matrix of sandstone, and it's prominent there. It hasn't eroded. In the 15th, 16th centuries, it was fortified by the Chinomati as a defense against the Scots, because this is a borderland. And borderlands are frequently contested, they're debated. Borderlands are edges, and for that reason, very interesting. relative disrepair in the early 19th century. In around about 1900, a magazine owner, a media entrepreneur called Charles Hudson, who owned the magazine Country Life, was visiting the island, and he was looking at this wreck of industry. The fishing industry was in decline, the local limestone industry was also in decline. Around this castle in ruin was the remains, quite substantial, of limestone kilns and the jetty that took the limestone and its products, slate lime, out on boats for use as agricultural